Welcome to the Sermon in the Valley with Pastor Rob Eller. You can find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast on any of those platforms and share it with your friends and family. Thank you. Welcome back to the Sermon in the Valley. Pastor Rob Eller here. So you may have noticed that after doing a series of episodes back in the spring about the Friends of the Homeless of Tuscarawas County and their need for a new shelter, you may have noticed that I have gone quiet. It's been almost exactly 6 months since my last episode on this topic, and so you would think, oh, well, maybe that old adage of no news is good news is a thing. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's not. No news is not good news in this case. After that last attempt 6 months ago to get land, they have gone quiet. They have realized that they needed to regroup, and they needed to do some more fundraising, and they needed to see what else was out there in form of land or alternatives or whatever they could figure out. Now, I'm here to tell you that I don't have any details. I know there's something brewing across the street. I have been contacted asking if they could use some of my writings about the shelter as support letters, and I of course gave my full endorsement to that. And in fact, I'm even going a step further. I am going to try to join the board of directors for the shelter to help them with this process. But there's something brewing. I know there's a big fundraising campaign coming up, but I don't know anything else about it. That's really all I know. I can't tell you anything else because I don't know anything else. But that adage of no news is good news is definitely not applying here. They're still facing building issues. When we first brought this up earlier in the year, when I had interviewed the president of their board, Reverend Joseph Vinkera, he had told me that the building that they're in is over 100 years old. It's an old 3-story apartment building. They had to repair the boiler last winter, but they had to custom order the part for it because the boiler is so old it's no longer being manufactured. And I recently found out from another board member that they've had to shut off some of the bathrooms in this building because of mold and mildew issues that have gotten so out of control that they can't keep up with it anymore. That is what's happening. That's what happens when you have an old building. It becomes expensive to maintain, and they're not able to keep up with it anymore. Back in the spring, I had warned that if nothing gets done, this building will fall into such a state of disrepair that it could be condemned. And that's what it looks like is happening. It's not good. They need help. They need a new building. But yet there's still that mindset of, well, I support it, but I don't want it anywhere near me. Well, that is not right. Nowhere in the scripture did Jesus say, help and serve your neighbors only when it's convenient for you, only if you don't feel threatened by it. That's not what's in the scripture. Jesus commanded us to love our neighbors, to serve our neighbors. No matter what the cost is, we're to just do it. And yet, nothing has happened. In my last episode, I talked about how the city was hiding behind the zoning laws. And I kept hearing murmurs of, oh, the city's going to work on fixing those zoning laws, and they're going to redo them and make them and modernize them. I have seen nothing in the news regarding the city working on updating its zoning laws to benefit the shelter. I've seen nothing. You would think that after the last attempt 6 months ago, there had been some public discussion saying, hey, we understand this need for the shelter. We understand there's issues with the zoning laws. We're going to fix those issues and for their benefit. You think that they would have done that. And at least in an attempt to save face. And nothing has come out of it. We're getting into the colder months now. It's early mid-November. Right now the temperatures are they're moderate. But we had a stretch of cold a couple weeks ago, and we're gonna head into more colder weather here pretty soon. Something needs to happen, because we are supposed to shelter the homeless. We're supposed to help them. We're supposed to we're supposed to lend a hand, get them on their feet. We're supposed to protect them. And if their facility is inadequate, what's going to happen? They're just going to end up back on the streets again. And then, what's next? The headlines in the paper is going to be, a group of folks who were homeless found frozen in their encampment. If they don't have shelter, it's not gonna end well. And how's that gonna look for this? How's that gonna look for the city when we have that big sign in the town square that says "Welcome to our city"? When we aren't treating the least of these like the rest of us. I drive around the area a lot. No, I'm a pastor, so I go out and visit my folks, and I do other things around town. So I drive around a lot, and there's a lot of vacant land here. A lot of it sitting there ready to be built on, but yet they're not allowed to. They give a whole list of BS reasons from, oh, that's zoned residential, you are a business. Oh, that's zoned business, you have a shelter, that means you're residential. Or, oh, that's too close to downtown, we're trying to revitalize downtown and bring more people here. We don't want a shelter there. Are you kidding me? You really think that having a shelter is going to bring down the whole vibe of the downtown area? You go to any major city, where are there homeless shelters located? In the middle of downtown. Yeah, I get we're a smaller city, so our downtown is basically 2 cross streets, so it's not much. But still, the shelter needs to be here in this city, so that way it's close to all the social service offices that are here to assist them. You push them further and further out of the city limits. How are they going to come here to get those essential services? How are they going to be able to get to a clinic or a doctor or the hospital? They're not going to walk, especially in the cold weather. You expect them to be able to walk from the shelter to get what they need here and then walk back to the shelter? That's just wrong. Oh, or do you expect them to be bused by the shelter? Well, that's another expense. Is the city going to pay for that bus? Probably not. We are called to love our neighbors. And I'm failing to see that love. Not to give too much away from my sermon coming up on this Sunday, because I will be touching a little bit on this, but the prophet Amos, in our reading for this Sunday, he is angry. He's angry at the way the Israelites have treated those that are poor and downtrodden, how they have been ignored. And Amos has had enough, and he calls them out on it, saying, I don't care about all of this church stuff you do, in your festivals and your services. None of that matters because you aren't doing the work you're supposed to be doing in the community. If we call ourselves Christians, we need to be advocating for the shelter and for the people that they serve. That's our Christian duty. That's what we're supposed to do. That's why I have decided to apply to join the board. I can't sit on the sidelines anymore. I need to get involved and help them. Just like everyone needs to help them. The most un-Christian thing to do is to ignore them and say, well, that's not my problem. I've said it many times in my previous episodes. We are all, at some point, probably one paycheck away from being in that same situation. From needing the shelter, from needing some sort of social safety net program. I'm not ashamed to say I was on, my family had Medicaid for a couple of years. I'm not ashamed to say that because we needed the assistance. We are all so close to that so many times in our lives. We need to help them in any way we can, through giving our time, our talents, or treasures. Time by speaking up, volunteering there, treasures by donating, talents. This is one of mine. It's by speaking up. Any way we can help them, we need to. Otherwise, to quote St. Paul, we're just a clanging cymbal or a noisy gong. If we don't have love for our neighbor, if we don't have love for each other, there's no point to it. We're just making noise. So please, help out. Be that neighbor. Thank you for listening, as always. If you like what you hear, share this with your friends and family. We are on multiple platforms. The Sermon in the Valley is written and produced at the Patrick Stevens Broadcast Studios here in the heart of the Tuscarawas Valley in Ohio. God's peace be with each and every single one of you. Have a blessed day.